Do you ever feel like you kind of lose a sense of who you really are and what your life is about? Where you seem adrift and a little bit lost, not distracted, but like wondering, God, who am I and what am I doing? And this happens all throughout life. It's a very natural thing for us. And it often is associated with seasons in our lives, not just the literal seasons, but seasons when I'm single and then maybe dating, and trauma even. Like if I'm in a dating relationship that ends, and then I struggle with it again, or in marriage, you struggle with this all through the seasons of marriage, like having babies and becoming a mom or a dad. Going through all the thresholds of life, that's a common thing. And God is okay with your and my struggle in this regard. In fact, He comes onto the pages of Scripture at all kinds of different times where people are wrestling with exactly this issue. In Genesis chapter 17, verses 1 and 2, He comes to a man then named Abram, who He's appeared to before and was involved in Abram's life before, and promised Abram certain things, that certain things were going to happen and take place in Abram's life. But God was taking too long to accomplish them. And so Abram was making a fair mess of life as a result. Does that sound familiar? That's why God's comfortable with us in our messiness. Not that He wants to leave us there, but He wants to come to us in those messes and help us and show us things about Himself and then about who we are and what we're doing. And so God, in this scene in Genesis 17, He comes to Abram and He reveals to Abram a name about Himself. And it's the Hebrew name El Shaddai. El Shaddai. And El means Almighty, the all-powerful one. And Shaddai means, the root word actually means breast. And Shaddai means the nourisher, the supplier, the one who has all the sufficiency. El Shaddai, all the power, all the sufficiency to nourish us at exactly the place and the ways in which we need. And so God appears to Abram and comes to him in the midst of Abram's messiness, in the midst of his confusion, in the midst of all of his trying to do what he thinks he ought to do when he thinks he ought to do it, and into yours and my life. And He comes into Abram's life, and He actually changes Abram's name as a result. He changes Abram's name from Abram, which means probably exalted father, to Abraham. That's when Abram becomes Abraham. And Abraham means father of many nations or many people. And so God comes into his life, reminds him who he is, and then supplies, nourishes him at the point of need, and tells him what his life is about. And that's what He wants to do for you. That's what He wants to do for me. He wants to do it all the time in our lives. He is the all-sufficient one. So why not go to Him and ask Him to reveal Himself to you as El Shaddai, and then be for you what you need, not just so that you can receive, but so that you can be a conduit of El Shaddai to all your friends and family and your church and your ministry that you're involved in the world, the neighborhoods that you're in, that you can be like God there. Remember, you can't give away what you don't have. So, what do you need from Him? Ask Him. He'll show up. He'll remind you of who He is, or tell you, maybe for the first time, who He is. And then He'll tell you who you are and what your life is about. And then you'll live from this faith-filled obedience, this radical life of being a person of the Spirit, a person of Jesus, a person of El Shaddai.